Are you a Black woman or just someone who is experiencing burnout right now, but just don't even know where to start to begin to tackle it? Well, that is what we are going to talk about today. So, welcome everyone to Moving Beyond Burnout. My name is Camesha Jones Brandon. I am a recovering workaholic, burnout overcomer, and so I created Moving Beyond Burnout to provide practical pathways for Black women to overcome burnout for good. So if you're joining me for the first time, please like the video, please share the video. And if you're on YouTube, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. And also, if you're joining me from LinkedIn or YouTube, please click the description box so you can see how to join my newsletter that I send out every 2 weeks that focuses on what's happening right now in terms of burnout in the news and just things and perspectives that could be helpful for you in your healing journey. So today, we're going to be talking about how to create a burnout prevention plan that works. So I'll tell you, as someone who's experienced burnout before and someone who's helped to support people from recovering from burnout, is that a lot of times people know that they're experiencing burnout, but they literally do not know where to start because everything feels overwhelming at the same time. And so today I'm going to provide you with a simple, when I say it's so simple, you're going to be like, oh my gosh, a simple proven approach of how you can begin to put that prevention plan into place. Why this is so important right now. With everything that's going on in our country, in our workplaces, in our families, in our communities, this is a time where there's going to be so much elevated stress. There's going to be a lot of overwhelm, a lot of crisis. And so there are certain things that are outside of our control as it relates to what's going on in our communities, in our personal lives, and in the world. But there are certain things that we can control that can help to prevent distress and also to help to sustain ourselves through this time. So I am going to jump right in. So the first thing that I want to talk about is the burnout prevention snowball. So I don't know if any of you all watch Dave Ramsey, but he has this concept called the debt snowball, where you start by paying off the smallest debt and then you move to eventually through paying off your largest debts and then you're debt free. And so what's interesting about that is that with that approach, it's about starting small and building momentum to get to what your destination is. And so I want you all to think about that as it relates to burnout. So what is something that I can do right now that is simple, that is maybe the easiest thing to tackle, and how that can help to build momentum, that can help to address other things, and also that I have the tools that I'm using and that I need for some of these bigger challenges that I'll be facing. So the first one that I just hinted at is starting with the easiest issue. So, as I said before, when it comes to burnout, everything feels so overwhelming right now. And a lot of times people make the mistake of tackling the biggest issue. And with that, it takes more effort to tackle the biggest issue. It can take longer and it can be just challenging in all. So, what I want you to do as it relates to what's going on with your stress levels is to think about starting with the easiest thing to do. So I'll give an example. Working late, right? Like if I have a lot of work to do, what I will work late, and then when I don't get good sleep, and then I wake up in the morning very tired, right? And so I start my day depleted. So one thing that you could do is to literally shut down, your work at a reasonable hour, where that may be 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, so that you can get a good night's sleep, so that you can feel like you're ready to go the next day. And so that prevents burnout, because a lot of what burnout is fatigue and exhaustion. So that is something very small, but it makes a big impact. And so moving your bedtime is pretty easy, but this is just an example. But this is how you can begin to prevent burnout, is really starting with the easiest issue and then building on top of that. The next thing is to envision your ideal way of being and doing. Once you identify the easiest issue that you want to tackle, the next thing that you need to do is to envision, right? Sometimes when we're in the midst of things, we don't always stop and being like, okay, what do I want my life to look like? So in that particular area, I want you to think about your ideal way of being. Who do you want to be in this area of your life? How do you want to feel? And then also, how do you want to do things, right? Because when we think about burnout, a lot of it is tied to work, like doing for other people or doing as it relates to your personal life or work or what have you. So think about your ideal way of how you want to be, how do you want to feel, how do you want to experience life in this area? And then the next thing is, how do you want to work? How do you want to do things? Okay. And then the next one is practice, reflect, perfect. So when I was in, I guess, my childhood, at church, I was a part of the dance ministry. And Miss Kim, who was over the dance ministry, she would say, practice makes perfection. And so that has always stuck with me throughout my life. And I think that is also applicable to anything that we're dealing with, but especially our mental health. And so sometimes people want things just to be over. Like, I just want this one thing to work and then that'll solve everything. But what I've learned is that practicing, you have to continue to practice that ideal way of being and doing. And then you have to reflect, after practicing, okay, if, I want to let go of some of these responsibilities that are causing me distress or causing me a lot of challenges, I have to actively practice setting boundaries. I have to actively practice being able to, not overload myself, right? So when it comes to burnout and prevention, a lot of it has to do with what you're practicing on a regular basis. And then the other thing is to reflect. Taking time to reflect about how you're feeling and your mind, your body, your spirit, your environment, and taking note of those things. So some people may journal, some people may do voice notes, some people may talk to other people, right? And so making time to reflect, and then lastly, perfect. This is like the golden piece of where people want to be, is perfection. Not perfection in the same terms of perfectionism, but that once you get through practicing and reflecting and having a good understanding of yourself and your relationship to stress and burnout, and you're reflecting and all those different things, now it becomes a part of who you are. Now it becomes a part of your everyday life. So you're moving from practicing, reflecting, and then literally perfecting is the last part, right? And that is when you've made such a change that now you're experiencing life in a different way and you're experiencing less burnout. I'm not somebody who's going to tell you that you're going to experience just none at whatsoever at some point in your life. There are different seasons where we may experience that. But overall, like I said, once you get to a certain place, you'll see the difference. So I want to go back over the 3 simple ways to prevent burnout. And this is a plan that actually works, is to 1, start with the earliest stressor to tackle. Number 2 is envision your ideal way of being and doing. How do you want to experience the world? How do you want to move? What do you want to do? How do you want to feel? And then practicing what you've gained from that ideal vision, reflecting on your progress, and then getting to a point of perfection where it's integrated into your everyday life. So I hope that this content was really helpful for you all. As I said, right now we are in a very challenging period. And some people may not be experiencing challenges right now. So I also want to uplift that. But at the top of the year, I want you all to begin to think about that prevention plan for yourself, and to put it into motion. So the last thing I will say is if you prepare now, you can relax later. So as it relates to burnout prevention, is that if you prepare now and get certain things uh, in order, or you begin to tackle some of those earlier issues, you can relax and experience ease and experience mental clarity and freedom later. So sometimes we don't know where to start, and then once we start, if we begin to prepare now, we can actually relax later. So, my next topic, so next month is Black History Month, and I am going to be talking about two different topics. The first one I'll tell you, the next one you'll have to stick around to find out what the other one is. But Black Excellence Burnout. If you are someone who has the degrees, who has the titles, who has the financial means, or if you're just going above and beyond and being excellent, but you're burnt out, this is going to be the topic for you. So join me on February 13th, and I'll be talking about Black Excellence Burnout. I've seen people begin to talk about how, our degrees won't save us, especially we're seeing that in this moment because things can be rolled back. But I want to talk about Black excellence. Where does it come from? How we're doing it. And there's pros and cons to it. So I don't want to make it seem like it's something bad. But I also want to talk about the burnout that comes from constantly performing at a certain level and feeling like you have to be worthy, to be an excellent person. So please join me for that in 2 weeks. And as always, join me every other Thursday at 12 p.m. Central Time for Moving Beyond Burnout. And I come here every 2 weeks because I know that in this era, we have to build community, but also provide people with practical tools and things that they can implement right now to have lives that are as free as possible from unnecessary stress and burnout and just mental health related challenges. So I will see you all in 2 weeks. Please like the video, please share the video, please subscribe to the YouTube channel, and also on LinkedIn. I have a newsletter that I send out every 2 weeks. I'm going to drop one tomorrow, so if you're following me on LinkedIn, it's Camesha Jones Brandon, and subscribe to my Moving Beyond Burnout newsletter. I'll be dropping one, like I said, tomorrow. And take care of all of you and be well.